Welcome to another episode of Class Haven Farms. So what do we got going on today? Well, we have some sad news to report. And I figured I would use this as a teaching tool for some of you when you have some sad news that would go on like this. So stay tuned and I'll show you guys what I'm talking about. So a couple weeks ago, Crystal, one of our Easter eggers, went broody and was sitting on a clutch of eggs. Shortly after Crystal went broody is when I hurt my right ankle. So with that came a lot of issues for me being able to check on her and check on her clutch and make sure everything was good. Would help when the kids were here, but the kids are not always with me. So when I was able to finally kind of get out there, even on crutches, when I got out there, I noticed that Crystal had moved off of one clutch onto another. So that had been a couple of days where those eggs weren't staying warm. So I was kind of afraid that we might lose some. And again, because of my injury, I wasn't going out there and trying to candle them at night because I didn't want to take a chance. It's kind of hard getting around crutches and getting around obstacles, so I didn't. Lily, get out of there. Look, she's over here in the old goat pen trying to find goat poop to eat. Hey, get over here. Come on. Yes, you, Lily, come. Sorry. All right, so I have now been able to pull these eggs. I just figured it was time. It was time to pull them. But what I thought about doing, I had talked about candling. I'm going to show you guys the candler that I use, and it's actually kind of a good thing. I pulled all of the eggs out that were in her clutch. Now, some of these had been there. Some of these had not. Now, typically what I like to do when I know that my hen has gotten on a clutch of eggs is I will go out and mark all of those eggs so I know those were the original ones that she was sitting on. Again, with my injury, it didn't work that way, but if you mark them, you can just take like a magic marker and just, I don't know, put a dot, put something on there that you would know that those are the eggs. What I've done in the past, and I did with Ethel, and I'll link some of those videos up here at the top in the series that I did, is when Ethel went broody, because at the time I didn't have a rooster, I got some fertilized eggs from a friend of mine and then put them around her, pulled all the eggs out that she was sitting on, put those fertilized eggs around her, and then she then clutched them in. And when I knew she was going to stay on them, I pulled her out with those eggs. I set her up in the brooder, and that worked out a lot better. The problem that I had doing that now was, one, the injury. Two, we had the Cornish cross chicks coming in, so I needed them to go in the brooder. So I just said, you know what? Back in November, I just let Crystal stay on them, and she hatched them, so we'll just go with that. But I guess there was just a little bit more competition this time around, and other girls wanting to use that nesting box that Crystal was in, so she kind of got bumped over. So I thought I would go ahead and show you guys the candler that I use. Now, the candler I use is the Magicfly Egg Candler. Really, it's just a flashlight, but it does have the cup. It makes it a little bit easier for moving the egg around instead of putting it on a regular flashlight. Typically, when you candle eggs, if you think, obviously you got to have a rooster. So if you don't have a rooster, your eggs aren't fertilized. But if you notice one of your hens goes broody and you have a rooster, especially if you got little kids, try this out. It's really not that hard. It's really easy to do. After about 5 to 7 days, the eggs will, the embryo will actually start to develop. In about 5 to 7 days, you'll see some veins kind of going around the yolk, and that's what you're looking for. So I'm going to take you guys in because I did candle some of these, and I I have a good variety here of eggs that are in the very early stages of probably producing baby chicks. I have some to kind of give you an idea what the veins look like, but obviously these embryos are not with us anymore because of her coming off and not keeping that warmth on. And then I have some that are just, they're dead. They're gone. There was life in there, but because they Crystal came off that clutch so early, and then I left them there. And I think it would just be a good idea to show you guys, anybody that's interested in this. So I'll get you guys in here. You got to do this in the dark. You can try to do it in a room that's someone has daylight, but it's a lot easier. So I'm going to do it down here in the basement where we had the brooder set up for the Cornish cross chicks, and kind of walk you guys through this and show you some stuff, and maybe I can teach you something. Here we are set up in the basement. As I said, you want to try to find a somewhat dark room. The basement for me is probably the best spot. So I'll go ahead and turn the candler on so you can kind of see what we got going on. So again, this candler here, it's got a cup here. It also has an adapter, and I don't have the adapter here now, but so I guess if you had smaller eggs like quail eggs or something like that, it kind of like steps down into here. So it's a little easier to do smaller eggs. But it's basically just a flashlight. That's all it is. But it's rechargeable. It's been really good. It wasn't that expensive, and it's helped us out. All right, so let's kind of look at where we are. So we'll take some of these eggs. These are kind of like the very early stages of it. What you're looking for is obviously here's the yolk here. So the darker the center of the yolk is, the possibility that you do have an embryo in there. So something like this, this egg, looking at it, if I look at the top, this probably came off of Pickles, or it came off of Shelly. So because for whatever reason, those two, when they lay eggs, they always have these little extra forms of calcium up at the top of their eggs. So what you're looking for, if you know you have a rooster and that rooster has been getting on those certain girls, then when you see something like this coming out of their eggs, then this would be one that, hey, if she's sitting on them, or if you have an incubator, which I don't have an incubator, that's something that I would like to look at. Girls, can you stop fighting for a second, please? Thank you. Sorry, I had to put them in their kennels because, again, Lily wants to play and Ruby doesn't. So this one would be a good one that, you know, if you see that darker center, you might want to hold on to it for 5 to 7 days to see if it develops. Kind of the same thing with this one, you know, that darker center, but the rest of it. And this is a green egg. Sometimes green eggs are a little harder, so that's why when I see kind of this dark here, you know, this good possibility that that could go into something there. So now we'll look at ones here that these are definitely your 5 to 7 day mark. And you can see you have the start of an embryo here, and then you start to have the veins coming into play. So you can see the veins branching out. So if you had one like this, this would be a good one to let your hen continue to sit on, or this would be a good one to pull out and put in your incubator. Set that over there so I don't mix them up. This one is gone, but all this dark here is definitely a good sign, but this has been gone for a while. So this started to develop, and then it lost its heat because Crystal came off of it. That's what these things need. They need the heat to be able to keep going. This one here, see if I can get it turned just right. It's kind of hard looking at the camera. But this one, it's hard to see it. There is a circle there in the center, a darker circle, and that was probably the start of the embryo. So we lost that one. That was the early stages, probably right before the 5 to 7 day mark. This one, probably about day 3, somewhere in there. It's got the speck right here, and then it's starting to vein. It's hard for you guys to see that. Now, these are ones that were a lot further along, and you can really see the veins in these ones. these are very unfortunate, man, because these were probably the original ones she was sitting on, and you can kind of see the dead embryo there down at the bottom here where my finger is. Sorry about the light. Trying to hold it so the light's not blinding you, but that's unfortunate there, because that was a good. These were probably the ones that she originally sat on, and then there was just that competition in that nesting box, and they all wanted to be there. You can see the veins again here coming off, and you can kind of see at the bottom. This is how you know it's dead. This is how you know it's no good. You almost have a solid line, and no matter how you move this egg, that line doesn't change. So when you see that, you lost that one. This one just completely gone. You can see how dark it is. I mean, it's a green egg, but still, I mean, it'd be hard for you guys to see it on this camera angle, but there's some veins down here at the bottom. This one's a really good one for veins. So just, I kind of am angry at myself about this, because all these embryos passed away because I couldn't get out there, and I couldn't be there to help them out. Just stinks, man. I think the one thing that excites me the most are baby chicks. Love when baby chicks come into play. These are all veins here, man. This was a good one too, but obviously you can see all the dark up here. It's dead. Wouldn't be like that if they were still alive. So, yep, just unfortunate, but it's just what happens sometimes. That's it. Just kind of, it's kind of disappointed about it. Just sucks, man. It really, the Chicken Whisperer was so excited when he found Crystal broody again. And like I said, and we found Crystal, and then Ethel went broody, but Ethel came off pretty quick. She didn't stay on. And that's kind of walk you guys out there. Might be a little bit for me to get out there. I'm still in the boot, but I'm at least able to somewhat walk around. I'm not going to be able to do too much more. I'm going to need to sit down here in a second, but I'll show you real quick. We had Crystal in there, and she was in the center. And looking back on it, what I probably should have done was just yanked everybody out of there and put her in there, and then kept her protected, kept that top door shut, and just kept her up in where the nesting boxes are. Looking back on it, maybe that's what I should have done, but looking back on that, it's probably a good thing I didn't do that too, because it's been really hard for me to get out here. I mean, in the early stages of my injury here, I was fortunate because the kids were with me, so they could go out here and take care of them. And I've pretty much set up my chickens to where, besides checking eggs, they're pretty good for a couple of days by themselves. I got several feeders, several waters set up out there. So, and I did that because back when I was married, we would go camping, for sometimes 5 to 7 days. So I pretty much got it to the point where they could be fine. Nobody needed to put food or water down for them. They just needed to pull eggs. And that they didn't need to do that either. It really wasn't that big of a deal, but I don't know. It's just unfortunate, man. We were really looking to hatch some more baby chicks, but the good thing is it's we can always do that. And maybe I'll look into getting an incubator and doing it that way. I will say, me personally, I like using hens to hatch my eggs, only because it's really neat to watch them, man. They go in there and they turn the eggs and they do all that. With an incubator, you got to do that, or if you're fancy, you can buy one of those ones that'll turn itself. But so anyway, again, the candler that I used here is the Magicfly Egg Candler. I'll put a link down in the description. I think I did buy this off of Amazon a number of years ago, when we first started. Shortly after we hatched Larry, was when I picked this up, and mainly just to check my eggs to make sure I wasn't, giving my friends, anybody, some eggs that might have a surprise in them when they go to pop them open. So, if you like this kind of stuff, man, make sure you like this video, subscribe, follow us along. I really appreciate that. We are just over 900 subscribers. I think we're 907 the last time I checked this morning. It's really neat, man. It's, you know, I've kind of shared it. I'm just a single dad starting over, and it's really neat to watch this channel grow. Um, and now that I've had time to sit back and watch all of my videos and kind of go back, it's been really cool to watch this journey and, you know, kind of see how far along we've come here on this property. So if you like this kind of stuff, man, we continue to grow this channel and grow this property and learn and have fun. So as always, I'll see you on the next one.